Welcome, everyone. We are filming episode 11 of Firm Thinking. I'm Lars Anderson, a shareholder here at Hourigan, Kluger, and Quinn, doing labor and employment work. And I have with me my good friend, Dave Sugarfoot Reynolds. Today, we will be talking about the theater community in the Wyoming Valley. So Dave, why don't you introduce yourself and tell everyone who you are and what you do?
Hi, I'm Dave. Apparently Sugarfoot Reynolds. That's a real in-joke in the Wilkes-Barre Little League circles. I'm the chair of the theater department at King's College, and I serve on a number of local theater boards, the Gaslight Theater Company, KISS Children's Theater, and work at lots of different theater companies in the area.
So tell me, currently, what are you working on? What are you doing?
I got a couple of things I'm working on right now. Directing currently a musical at King's called The Last 5 Years. It's got it's two actors. It's pretty cool. It's the story of their relationship, but the woman tells the story from the end of the relationship to the beginning, and the guy tells it from the beginning to the end, and they meet in the middle. So we're doing that live streamed April, I believe, 14th through the 17th. Directing also A Midsummer Night's Dream at KISS Children's Theater. The rehearsals start for that this weekend, and that goes up in June, I think. And I'm working on a number of different sort of podcasts and things for Gaslight. We're not producing in person yet, but some different things that we've been working on throughout the pandemic.
What exactly is Gaslight Theater Company? What is that?
So Gaslight Theater Company is a company that myself and a couple of friends formed back in 2003. Most of us were graduates of the theater program at King's, and we sort of formed it because we sort of saw a lack of the kind of theater that we're making at King. So classical theater, things like Shakespeare and stuff like that, and underproduced work. So that's where it started. Since then, we have continued with that mission, but also really brought into our mission doing the work of original regional playwrights. So that's been really cool. We just wrapped up an 8-year series of one-act plays called Playroom, where we would we do the set of a specific room in a house, and then 8 to 10 different playwrights would write a one act in that room, and we would play them all in one evening. So we've been able to feature, I think the number was like over 55 different playwrights in the past couple of years. So that's been pretty great for us.
Wow. So there's 55 different playwrights in our region.
Yeah. And so when I say region, it's casting a pretty wide net. We have some people writing, in Harrisburg, Philadelphia, stuff like that, but there's actually a lot of regional, like Northeastern PA playwrights working in the area.
So let me ask you, most of us have heard the name KISS Theater before. What exactly is KISS, and what does it do in our community?
So KISS is a children's theater. KISS actually stands for Kids Innovating Stage and Sound, which I think is an interesting name. Not my favorite name, but I'm not going to besmirch the good people at KISS. But it's a children's theater for age ranges, I think 4 up to 18. There's 3 different groups. There's the littles, which is like 3 to 8, the middles, which is 8 to 13, and then seniors, which are 13 to 18. And their mission really is just to educate children in theater, but also it's a really inclusive space. One of the things I like most about KISS is that regardless of who you are, you're included in casts. I've done a lot of work with, a couple of the actors there have Down syndrome, and they integrate right into the cast with everybody else. And it's really kind of great to see that in action, right? Because, when you're seeing it happen, there's no difference, right? Like nobody's looking at anybody differently. They're all just part of the group. And that's kind of great.
That's great. So can any child who wants to start getting involved in acting or theater, like they can go out to KISS and try out?
Absolutely. They run a number of different workshops throughout the year. I think they sort of do it on like a summer, fall, winter basis, where they'll have a workshop for each age group. You can learn more just by going to I think it's kisstheater.org. Let me look that up real quick. I think that's correct. But yeah, the artistic director is Jessica Suda, and she's fantastic. So you can just send an email, and you can get involved kind of immediately. I think that website's right. Yeah, kisstheater.org with an RE.
So tell me, with the pandemic and it affected in person and live performances, how how did that affect the theater community of the Wyoming Valley, and what do you see going on now because of that?
I mean, it affected the theater community greatly. No one has been able to do real live events. Towards the, last summer, people sort of started doing outdoor events and things, and that kind of worked. And then the winter has just been, there's been not a lot of actual live event things happening. Gaslight's been sort of shifting focus to putting together a number of podcasts. We're looking at potentially doing there's a Ray Bradbury piece called Kaleidoscope, which is about astronauts in space, but it works really well like in this kind of format in Zoom. So we're looking at trying to do that. At King's, we've been producing stuff, but we've been doing it for the camera, for film. So we just wrapped filming last week on our 71st annual Shakespeare, which was As You Like It. So we set it up like a movie, which is kind of great. We ran 3 cameras. We're editing it, doing it just like, you would do a 3-camera sort of film or sitcom. So, what's missing is the audience. So it's not really theater, but it's getting as close as we can get. And it's been really great for the students. They're learning a lot of stuff they wouldn't normally be learning about working with cameras and stuff like that. So that's been cool. We can't wait to actually have audiences again, because that's, what makes theater, but we've been getting by.
Well, with the new governor's, I guess, coming in April, we're going to have an easing of the restrictions, right? So
Yeah.
more indoor gatherings are allowed. What do you see for the theater community and productions coming this spring and summer?
I think that a lot of the companies that I've talked to are going to continue with the outdoor model probably this summer. I know the production I'm directing at up at KISS Midsummer is going to be outside, which actually works really well for that show, right? Because it takes place like in a forest and stuff. So KISS is up at the East End Center, and one of the sides faces woods. So we're actually building a set back into the woods, which is pretty cool. We're hoping that that'll become a permanent structure up at KISS. I can't speak for all the other theaters. I know that some people are probably going to start doing limited seating things indoors. I have a meeting coming up with John Mayday, who's the head of the Riverfront Parks Commission here. And we're going to bring back, we've done a couple years now, Shakespeare on the River. So that's a Gaslight project that will be coming back. I don't have details yet, but that, the hope is to bring that back this summer. So I think people are going to be producing. And then, my hope would be that once we get back to the fall, it gets a little bit chillier, that the restrictions will have been lifted enough that we feel comfortable having indoor gatherings again more.
So I'm going to change topics a little bit. And during the pandemic, I don't know if you have Disney Plus, but I do. And I got to watch that streaming of Hamilton. That's something that I didn't think I was going to enjoy or was even applicable to me, but I very much did enjoy. Do you see like successes like that changing musical theater in our area, or making people do more musical theater in our area?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, I think that your experience with that is the experience that a lot of people had with it. Being a theater person, it was very much on my radar. Yeah, we have Disney Plus. I have 3 kids, Lars. So of course we have Disney Plus. And I was looking forward to it, right? My family actually, my 2 sons and my wife saw a live version of Hamilton in Philadelphia. I got left at home with Rosie, but yeah, I was very much looking forward to it. I've actually used it in classes. I used it in a class this semester, an intro to theater class with a bunch of people who didn't know what it was. And I said, all right, we're going to watch a musical about the life of Alexander Hamilton. And I watched their faces all sort of like, oh God, this is going to suck. Right. And then I showed it and they're like, oh, that was awesome. So I think it's going to definitely maybe do the experience that you had will be, translated for lots of people, that it's super accessible. The music is not, it's rap. It's a hip hop musical. And I think it's going to bring a lot of people to musical theater, whether that makes them continue. I mean, I hope it does. Right. But I think that, they did a really wonderful job with the way they shot that, capturing what it's like to actually be in a theater. That was what we were trying to set out for when we shot our Shakespeare too, is that feeling of, you're watching a play, but it's shot on film. So yeah, I think it's going to certainly bring people more, hopefully more people to theater.
So with the experience that you just had at King's by doing that, the filming, what was the new experience the kids were, or that your students were exposed to that they typically aren't exposed to in their theater program?
Well, so I mean, I think, on both sides of the camera, right? My background's actually in design, more the technical stuff. I like to act, and that's fun. I have fun with that. But I come from the design side. So the kids on that side of the table were learning stuff that we never do. Things like, cinematography and where to place cameras and how to make sure you have all the stuff that you need so that you can go back and edit it later, and how to integrate sound to cameras, which is different than what we normally do for the theater. If you're doing a live event, sound runs completely differently. For the kids on the other side of the camera, acting for a camera is completely different than acting on stage. So they had to learn, like when to turn to play to one camera, when to turn to play to the other one, which is something that we don't typically do ever, right? When you're playing to a live audience. So it was a really great educational experience.
Do you see, as the pandemic changes, do you see, your program continuing to do things of that nature, or are you going to go back to just strictly live performances?
I think, we've been talking about it. I think there's absolutely going to be a hybrid of stuff that happens. The thing about, you'll ask any theater person, and the best thing about theater is making it in front of a live audience. So we're never going to go away from that. That's the best part of theater. That's like, theater is different from film in the sense that it's live, right? And it's, it's the unique experience that, you could see the same show 3 times and it wouldn't be the same show, right? It's only that what you saw on Thursday night is different than what you see on Friday night. So we're going to keep that for sure. But I think that we might integrate more events that are filmed, more sort of student showcase pieces that we film. We got this equipment and we're learning how to use it. So I think it would be sort of dumb of us not to continue to, include that educational experience for our students.
So for a guy like me who's never gotten involved in theater, what if I, at the age of 40 decided I want to start doing something? What can I do? What can I get involved in?
Anything. You're never too old to get involved in theater. Even 40. You're so old, Lars. I'm older than you though.
I even raised my age so I didn't make you feel so bad.
Yeah, I'm 43, but like very spry. Ask him. I can rake leaves like unbelievably. There's tons of ways. The thing about theater that like maybe everybody doesn't understand is that it's kind of like a microcosm for the whole world, right? In the sense that like you could do anything in the theater, right? Because I work in technical theater, I know how to wire lights and I know how to weld and I know how to, I could, build houses and build things and like, not the code, right? But you can, in any one of your talents that you have, you can do that in a theater. So if you want to get involved with, coming to build sets or learning how to do lights or any of that kind of stuff, there's lots of companies that will have you. If you want to be an actor, you can, there's there's a really great community theater scene in Northeastern PA from, the companies I work with more frequently, like Gaslight and Kiss. There's Little Theater of Wilkes-Barre, there's Music Box, there's I'm sure I'll get in trouble if I don't mention everybody, but there's lots and lots and lots of opportunities to share your talents in any way that you want to, right? Some people really don't want to be on stage, like I said, but you can come and design or build or work in a box office. You can do marketing. All these things are available in the theater.
So I'll leave you with the last question. What's your favorite show of all time and why?
No, man. That I'm involved in or that I saw?
You pick, man. It's your house.
It's really, man, that's real hard.
Give me a double. What you've seen and that you've been involved in.
Okay, that I've seen years ago. I went to. I'm a big fan of Shakespeare. I went to the Stratford Festival of Canada to see some Shakespeare's with a bunch of students. And the professor who had booked the trip set up a day for us where we were seeing Henry VI Part 1 and Part 2 in the same day. And everybody was kind of like, oh my God, this is going to be horrible and long. And it ended up being like one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. That's the Shakespeare play that sort of where Shakespeare touches on the War of the Roses, which is like, the wars between the House of York and the House of Lancaster. and you've got Joan of Arc, and like there's so much. It was awesome, right? And then like they had the actors in the audience like shooting bow and arrow. It's a really cool thing. It's impossible for me to pick a show that I've been involved in, but I'll give you one. In 2018, here at King's, I was lucky enough to direct a show called Ragtime, which is a show that I've always wanted to do. It's about it's a pretty big sweeping story, but it takes place in New York in the turn of the century. And there's a group of, upper class, rich white people that live in New Rochelle. There's a group of Eastern European Jewish immigrants, and there's a group of African-Americans who live in Harlem, and their lives sort of intertwine. And it's a show I've always wanted to do. It was super hard. It required us to have diversity in casting, which we never had before. And we did it and came off, and it was awesome. And since then, it's been great to see, more and more actors of color coming to do shows at King's. Very, very proud of that. So I would say that one's up there. But I don't know, man. There's something great about every show, seriously. So it's a really good friend of mine said that the best thing about our jobs is that we get to make pretend for a living. And that's kind of like, I feel like the luckiest guy in the world, because every day I get to do something new and different.
Dave, if somebody's looking to get involved, where can they find the theater groups or production groups to try out for or get involved in?
Yeah, I think the easiest thing to do really is social media stuff. If you look for NEPTA, NEPTA, Northeastern PA Theater on Alliance, they usually will list when there's auditions and things like that. Also, just following the local theaters on social media, Little Theater, Music Box, and then any PA scene will often post things. There's usually also the Times Leader used to run in their arts section when there's auditions and stuff like that. So the easiest thing is probably social media. Just go on Facebook and look up NEPTA, and that should probably get you a link to everyone else.
Fantastic. Dave, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today. To all those out there listening to Firm Thinking, we thank you for taking time out of your day to listen to this great podcast. Please tune in the future. This is Lars Anderson signing off, and Dave Sugarfoot Reynolds saying goodbye.